One of the things you said earlier that I want to lean into a little bit is, you'd mentioned, kind of seeking your own professional development, and it just educating yourselves in what sounds like a variety of topics, maybe shotgun blast approach. You even talked about like flipping cars and all these other things. And I think there's a good lesson there for people that are listening, because I feel like people that maybe are in the hamster wheel have this perception that there's certain people that have achieved success and you're never going to be that person. That person's just elite and like, I'll never be on their level. And there's this barrier to action of just getting out there and educating yourself and becoming more, like just knowledgeable on a variety of topics. And as you explore that, you're going to discover things that maybe you gravitate towards, that make you, give you the ability to potentially be one of those people that before you thought you never would become. Like for me, one example is like real estate. Like, it's not like it's this crazy thing, but I got like 6 properties now and it's a good cash flow business for me. I just read a couple books and started dorking out reading real estate articles. And I realized, wait, I can leverage the assets I have right now, get the bank to loan me money to buy another property, and I won't use any of my own money. And I make a quick little Excel spreadsheet and realize what the cash flow analysis is. And oh, by the way, you can write off the interest and yada, yada, yada. Before you know it, in 3 years, I have 6, short-term rentals that I'm renting out, and we're building a $16 million facility right down the street that we're going to own, right? That didn't take that. And it was to the point where as I'm reading, I'm like, everyone should know this because this is so obvious. I have a 3-year-old daughter. I'm like, when she's 15, like, I'm going to teach her to be a little assassin with this stuff because I'm going to make sure she's very, financially literate on all of this. But that's just one example. So I just think there's this barrier to entry because people think, oh, that's not for me. I'll never become that. And if you just put yourself out there and try to, maybe get outside of your, comfort zone, and you'll eventually find something that hits, and then you will be in the 1%. Because very few people are actually willing to do it. So that just resonated with me when you said that, because I just think there's so many people that they're not reaching their potential because they're not actively pursuing that professional development.
Yeah, I mean, the greatest decision that I ever made was to start investing in my personal education. So you talked a lot about, or you referenced my experience of like going and being in my paid education where I was going and studying and doing all these different things. But on top of that, in 2015, I made the decision that once a quarter, at least every 3 months, I would go and I would attend something that would further my education in a variety of different topics, whether it was trailer park real estate investing, whether it was marketing or a mastermind or coaching or consulting. And so since 2015, I've spent over $1 million on my personal education, non-traditionally. And, having those people like getting in the room, being around the people that opened up my ideas. Like one of my favorite examples from this was like it was in 2021, December 2021. I am flying down to Florida to pick up a Phenom 300 that I'm purchasing for cash, a 8-passenger jet, spending $6.5 million on this thing. And while I lined it up that we were going to go and close on it December of that year, and I looked for some sort of mastermind or something that I could attend while I was going down there, and I found a trailer park investing group that was in Destin, Florida, and so I fly down there. And I'm attending this little workshop, and it's great. And I'm just an attendee in the back, taking notes, and everything like that. Come to find out, people figure out, like I had lunch with a couple people. They figure out that I'm there picking up my $7 million jet, and that I'm buying cash. And like people just freak out. They're just like, "What are you doing here? Like you're like." You're not supposed to be a student in this room. You're supposed to be teaching this room. And like for me, it was like never a question. Like I don't know anything about investing in trailer parks, so I'm here, right? Like and I think to your point is that that one of the best things people can develop is a hunger for more knowledge, and never be satisfied with where they're at. So recently we've shifted the name of our podcast from the Founder Podcast to Next Level Pros, and it's indicative that the name Next Level is that success is not a destination. You never arrive at a point and say, I made it, it's done, it's over. Success is purely a trajectory. Like, what direction am I going? Like, even if I'm a billionaire and my trajectory is down, I am not successful. Or if it's maintaining, I am not successful. Like, true success is always on a trajectory of further education, further knowledge, further progression in your relationships, or whatever it may be. And so, and there's always a next level, right? Like, that's the biggest thing I've learned in being in these different groups. I hang out with this Harvard group where like 50 of my friends are billionaires. And the reason I hang out with this group is just because it just makes me think differently. It like, I am no longer the big fish in the room or satisfied with my 2 different 9-figure exits that I've had. Now I'm thinking like, holy crap, how is my really good friend in Dubai doing 26 billion a year with 30% margins? Like, how is that freaking possible? Right. And so just understanding that education, learning and growing, it never stops. It's not a destination. You got to keep rocking.
Well, and I think I don't know if you've read the book, if either of you have read Range. I forget who the author is, but I bring it up because the whole thing is, to summarize it in 30 seconds, is that like becoming over specialized works for very few individuals, and it's actually better to like build a range of skill sets and interests that will eventually contribute to you being great at something. And of course, there's a ton of research to back it, as well as his own just kind of life work. And why I say that is, I think people can hit a ceiling with what they're doing, or they think that like, oh, this is my job, I can only develop here. Where it's like, I love the phrase, and my friend actually said it 10 years ago. He said, follow the energy. And what he meant by that is like, as long as you have a passion and are interested in it, and have an innate like gut feeling that like, oh, I should develop here, you can do that. Like, don't not do it because, oh, this doesn't relate to my finance job. It's like, no, pursue those things. And then all of a sudden you'll realize, and it may take a decade, but you'll start to piece together these different interests that seem on the surface completely disconnected. But then you're building this range of skill sets that can then get combined to bring something to life that somebody that went so deep on one thing would have never been able to see. So it's a really cool, like, as you say about continuing your education, I always tell people like, follow your energy. Like, if following your energy means just eating Cheetos on the couch all day, I would say don't follow that one too hard. But as long as it's something that you're genuinely interested in and there's room to grow within it, like, don't be afraid to go deep on 10 different things over 10 different years, and don't beat yourself up thinking like, oh, I didn't specialize in one of them. Because what I've found in myself and in others is that if you do that over and over, you will show up into a room and be able to connect dots that other people can't see. So it's just another thing I thought I'd throw in there, because I think what you're saying is so valuable about like continue your education, continue your growth. And why I say what I said is like, it doesn't need to just be one thing. It can be 15 different things, as you said, with like investing in trailer parks.
Absolutely.
Well, I love that example. The fact that you are going to buy a $6.5 million jet, but you had the humility and the kind of you've never mastered your craft mentality of, oh, let me just like take an extra day down there and go to a trailer park seminar because maybe this will be something, can be another hustle for me. Like that right there is the example of why you're successful. That's a mentality, and you probably will never lose that. Man, that's such a strong lesson. I mean, and I love the fact that it was like such a like kind of random and hilarious topic. You know what I mean? If it was some like, jewelry convention or, like something, it'd be like, all right, whatever. But you were like, no, I'll freaking go to a trailer park convention. Like that is, you've never mastered your craft, and there's always something to learn. And I think to your point on success trajectory, you will never lose that trajectory if you keep that mentality. And that's, I mean, it's crazy when you look back at what you can do in 5 years. It'll blow your mind of where you thought you were here, and that was like the top of the mountain. And then you look back and you go, holy crap. Like, you can't even imagine what you can do in 5 years with focused effort. So I know that will of course be the case with you, with that mindset. That's freaking awesome.